Now we're live.
Okay, so after a quick hiatus, we are back on Top Deck Heroes. After a long, long drive back from Las Vegas, we just rolled in a week ago,
Back into my basement.
back into Hughes's basement. So we do know that Kevin and I did leave because we were
Yeah.
in Las Vegas. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff to cover tonight. Let's bring up the schedule real quick, Hughes, because I forgot what we were doing. And I think we'll start at the top of the hour with the news. A couple weeks ago, for those of you who somehow been living under a UFS rock, the World of Indine set came out. Put your hand down. The World of Indine set was pre-released 2 weeks ago this Friday with spectacular fanfare. In addition, that weekend was also the Las Vegas 2K. Congratulations to Chris Pratt for winning 1,000 cash dollars, which the check has been cashed, so I know you have the money. Congratulations. Playing Lord Raptor, defeating Miles Tyler, playing Terry in the finals. So I want to talk a little bit about the convention itself and the event, and then we'll move on to the Do You Know the Rules segment, followed by our upcoming events, and then what's on the docket for next week. So the convention itself, from my standpoint, I actually really enjoyed the convention.
As a vendor, what was your thoughts?
It was not bad. My only thing I didn't like is I didn't feel on their marketing that the convention was really marketed towards people who had any money. I felt like there were a lot of high school students and children there, and they typically don't have very deep pockets, which is kind of unfortunate. However, compared to being at a big event like Gen Con, it was much, much nicer.
Yeah, I think that was kind of my biggest takeaway was that it was it was a smaller convention than something like Gen Con. Obviously, they're not a multinational, decades long legacy event, which meant that they had a smaller building. You could actually go around and see everything in less than an hour. You could walk over to the bathroom and get a drink without having to walk into a makeshift women's room that got switched to a men's room because there were so many guys at the con. It wasn't incredibly crowded.
North Carolina, you could be arrested for that.
Ooh.
Yeah, the convention was real nice. I would say the whole convention was about the size of half of the vendor room at Gen Con. To kind of give you folks who've been to Gen Con an idea of what the size was. We were located in the vendor hall, inside the Jasco Games booth. So Jasco Games was on one half with their bounce house for some reason, and their displays of product. And then the other half was the tournament. It was really nice having bathrooms accessible, especially during the tournament, where people could only go maybe 10 yards away to a washroom and to a concession stand where the lines weren't 2 hours long like at Gen Con. And they had a really good deal on soda. It was like $6. You got this black cup, and you got refills for the rest of the weekend for only like $2.
Wow, nice.
Which is incredible for a convention.
Outrageously good for a convention con. Speaking of drinks and concessions, because of the smaller size of the convention, there was an energy drink company that's trying to get off the ground. They handed out free samples in the middle of our tournament. Everyone got to have like two like little bottles of
Gamergy.
Yeah, Gamergy energy drink.
That's what it was on the stream.
That's what it was called.
Sugar and electrolytes, man, and water. You can't beat it. That's all you need in the middle of a tournament.
It didn't even taste bad. I had the fruit punch, and I thought it was very good.
It tasted just like freezer pops. Which is a solid flavor. It's not bad.
Let's see. Some guy named Steve Blum came over to the Jasco Games booth and signed our Cowboy Bebop poster for some reason.
Yeah, no big deal.
No big deal.
He's just his guy,
Who needs Steve Fruit? Like, come on, dude. Get a better name.
There was a free play arcade there. There was a decent sized vendor area. The half of the convention was just gaming space.
Yeah.
So it's actually really cool. In the finals ended up being streamed on Twitch to 12,000 unique IP addresses were watching during the stream of the finals, which is really awesome. I think that's going to be a good kick in the ass for UFS.
Yeah, I think that stream finals was incredible. I think Garrett did an incredible job commentating and kind of both Garrett and crap, I can't remember the other guy's name. The color commentator that they had on. I think his name had something to do with either a beard or a Norse god. Both.
Hey, was super excited. I've never seen someone excited as that guy about playing Foundations.
Yeah, no, he did.
He's just like, and that guy's just going to keep playing Foundation cards.
Yeah, like he did a
He
really.
would love watching a Garrett match.
He did a really, really good job. Both of them did a really good job of playing their roles of the professional player, explaining kind of the strategy, kind of the bigger picture of what was going on, and also knowing everything that was going on the board, explaining everything that was going on the board, while the color commentator brought the hype, brought the excitement, and kept it, and just filled up the dead air when things were getting a little boring, and kept it interesting for the viewers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really liked Garrett's high-level commentary, especially when it really came out was between games when they were talking about what could be in the players' minds. Garrett has had a pretty good idea of how each player's play style is. He talked about how Chris Pratt's kind of reserved, and if he wins, he's probably just going to smile and shake Miles' hand, and if Miles wins, he's going to do like cartwheels and shit. So I mean, that's a pretty accurate prediction as to what would have happened. That was super cool. The only thing that was kind of not so great about it is it did take a while to get that set up. So the tournament did grind to a halt for about 3 hours. But I think at the end of the day, it was super worth it.
Wasn't it they were streaming most of the day a bunch of esports stuff? So they had to reconfigure a bunch of things?
Yeah, it required a lot of reconfiguration because I don't think they're that familiar with streaming card games. Yeah. So it took them a little bit to get the camera set up in such a way where people would be able to see what's in the players' hands without the players being able to see what's inside each other's hand. All said and done, it was super exciting. I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, there was infinite streaming going on. I think they had at least. I mean, they had a lot of Smash. I know
a lot of Smash.
We had to walk through a lot of Smash Brothers to get to the audience area to view the UFS final. And because it did get held up so much, I actually couldn't watch it live. I had to leave to get dinner before I caught my flight at 10 o'clock that night. But I mean, it's on Twitch, it's on YouTube now. You can catch it if you haven't seen it already, and it's a great watch.
So we definitely want to congratulate our cash winners. Chris Pratt, who we know won $1,000.
Yeah, Chris played great all weekend. Did he finish first after Swiss too? I think he was undefeated.
He was undefeated all weekend.
Yeah,
he didn't drop a match. Great for his Player of the Year points. Miles coming in second place with a $500 cash prize. Terry Bogart, that just keeps getting better and better. I mean, as far as like Monday morning quarterback, I feel really the only big mistake I saw, which I'm not sure would have mattered that much, was I felt that Miles probably shouldn't have played that reversal, which cleared the Ultimate Undead out of Chris's card pool.
Yeah.
Me, another thing I saw was I think it was during the other match he lost. He was really greedy and decided to not block the Ultimate Undead with the Kersplat he had in his hand.
I think that was actually the same attack, the same turn. He tried to he attempted to partially block the Ultimate Undead, checked really badly and failed it, and later on he blocked and reversed the Ultimate and kicked an attack out of the pool.
I could be wrong.
But I remember that he decided to try to play a Kersplat as a reversal, wound up failing the check, rather than just blocking an Ultimate Undead with it.
The middle game for sure, I think Miles played everything just the way he should have. But when you're not in the driver's seat, you also don't know, what you're really going to want to do.
There's always the chance that, we sit back and say, oh, that was a greedy play. Oh, man, he certainly should have played more conservatively. But sometimes you just make the choice that you're going to go all in. And if they have it, you're going to lose. And you decide that you're going to lose anyway. So you might as well try to maximize your chances that they don't have it. And sometimes they just have it when that happens.
Well, I've found in my matches against Lord Raptor, there are some times you just catch him with his trousers down.
Yep.
And on a reversal is an easy time to catch any deck like that.
Yeah.
And if you can catch Raptor with his trousers down, you can beat him. Otherwise, he's really, really consistent.
Yep.
So Garrett and Brett were the players both eliminated in the semifinal rounds.
Yep. Playing kind of, I almost say polar opposite decks in a lot of ways, and that Brett Hillman's Dimitri deck was almost I don't want to just call it a completely stock deck, but it was a very known quantity going in, throws and chip shots and surveyors and stuff. Garrett Brett, on the other hand, playing Vincent Gray in a way that no one has ever played him before, with super drop kick, 4x rain flush, no throws at all. Everyone's always played Vincent Gray as a lows and throws kind of defensive oriented character, and Garrett really played a completely, I want to say completely new style of decks. It's still, Rain Flush. Yeah, Hughes, you know Rain Flush. Come on.
Yeah, I know Rain.
Rain
Flush is Rain Flush is Rain Flush.
Not 100% original.
Super drop kick.
Yeah, baby.
What Predictably Forced stuff did he run?
Oh, he ran spinning Necro Driver. He ran.
I thought you said he didn't run throws.
Okay, you're right.
I'm like, come
Speed Necro
on.
Driver
That's where I
is-
got
Speed
confused.
Necro Driver is like Kuga, man. Like it's just like it doesn't count as a throw. It's just an insanely good card. Like he's not playing any Death Valley Face Plants or anything. Moon Catapult.
He wasn't running head crushes?
Oh, he was running 2 head crushes.
Okay.
All right.
So-
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
But it
So
was
so
also
I knew the
wasn't-
deck more
He
then.
was playing 7 2-checks, including Howheat and Kyaku.
Ugh.
Tim's anti-momentum kick. So it was a spicy number.
Certainly, the deck wasn't stacked for lows and throws like you would normally expect from a
Mhm.
Vincent Gray. So I think
Yeah.
a lot of people were caught off guard by that. I believe, if memory serves me correct, Garrett was defeated by Miles.
Yep.
And Brett was defeated by the eventual champion.
Yep.
So congratulations to all those people who made the cash level brackets. Talking a little bit about the turnout now. All said and done, I'm really disappointed. I'm very disappointed in you, Las Vegas. According to Shane Duckworth, you've got like 60 players, and less than half of them turned out. Very disappointed in you. Now, I have gotten some feedback about how some people didn't come because there was a lack of diversity. However, I would like to note that despite being no diversity, there are no more than 3 of any one character, and as far as elimination goes, diversity wouldn't have mattered anyhow.
Yeah, diversity was, I believe, not close to. Maybe it was. Actually, no, it wasn't close to mattering. I think the 3 and 2 slot, of which there were 3 players who were tied on first tiebreaker, actually, and I narrowly squeaked in as the first of them. There were 2 Athenas in that, I think. Maybe. I don't. I'd have to look at the full players and rosters. So there could have been a diversity if we had all finished better. But we only had 3 wins, and and it was actually very close to being a clean cut at 3-1-1. Had I not won my match, no 3-2s would have made it in, and we would have had no diversity, even like not even a whiff of two of the same character after tiebreakers.
There was, before you go, Hughes, there was an interesting side effect, though, to no diversity. Every match played the final round. None of the top tables intentionally drew.
I like that.
Which, that's one of my concerns with diversity. I don't want to jump on the diversity bandwagon. I think that's a topic that's been beaten to death and buried and dug up again. But one thing I find in diversity tournaments, a lot of times those top tables are able to seal the deal and just intentionally draw because there's X Athenas following the first Athena who have no hope of getting in no matter what happens.
Yeah, it's very easy to get guaranteed to 22nd place or something in a top 16 event with single diversity. Even it's very very easy to get to 12th place locked up when you're at a medium high seed even.
Mm-hmm.
And then the players who do have the bad luck to run into diversity, because a lot of times diversity isn't those S tier decks. It's 2 people who said, I think Vincent Gray is a good meta choice for this week, and they have different builds, but they got bad luck, and now they have to play really hard just to get it in. So I guess I'm going off of the diversity tangent.
Hughes, you had something you wanted to say.
I was just gonna say, like, I remember a few years ago having a conversation with someone about diversity, and about how really, until you get to a certain size level, it doesn't really actually matter a whole lot whether diversity exists or not. Just because, unless there's a character that is like Hoytstill back in the day, or Truong or whatnot, that's just that oppressive, that everyone wants to play that character. Most of the time, like if there's a somewhat healthy format, it's not till you get to like 70 plus people where diversity is going to become a true issue.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like
that.
more like I've never heard I mean, obviously diversity happens and people get annoyed about it, but I feel like people talk about it way more than it actually comes up in most events.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a healthy format like we have right now. Like I think we might still have after Indians, but I'm a little less confident in that.
Yeah, there's some Indians characters that are really,
We're gonna have
really, really good.
some hype is gonna be coming down the road line. That's not a word.
As far as the turnout goes, what the poor turnout means going forward. This is the second 2K we've ran. The first 2K, I believe we had 32 at the Rochester 2K when we had the nice.
We ran 6 rounds.
So we must have had.
It must have been in the 40s.
No,
I don't think we quite hit 40.
Well, I think we had like
I
34.
think we're in the
39.
mid-30s.
Okay.
So, and that Rochester's not really an easy place to get into. And that was for credit. That wasn't even for cash. And then we ran this event in Las Vegas where $2,000 cash was handed out, and we had a smaller turnout yet. And I think there are a lot of factors that came into this result. First of all, there are some people who complained that they were upset that there was no diversity. and that they didn't know, which I'm not sure how that happened because we've been talking about it for 6 months.
I feel
Regardless,
like that was a small part of it.
You know, if people say one thing to us, then we have to assume that it was a big deal to them.
I'm
I
not
just
sure that affected that many people. I think the bigger factors were
lack
that
of Indians.
we hadn't had a set in 11 months.
Yeah, I think.
And then the set that was coming out couldn't be legal for the event because it came out the day before as a pre-release product.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of postmortems we can do and a lot of analysis we can do, but I really can't imagine that any factor would outweigh the size of an 11-month stagnation, even with
Yeah.
Red Horizon coming back.
Yeah,
you just don't get excited about Red
Like-
Horizon unless you're.
unless you've never played it
yeah.
before.
Honestly, for me, like, yes, Indians not being out, barring financial issues with me going, which I could have taken care of. It wasn't just that Indians was out; it was the fact that Red Horizon was also back that made me have no interest in showing up.
Right. I mean, the feedback I've gotten from players as far as the format goes, there's a lot of players, especially in that Las Vegas region, who found the last 2 sets to come out, Rise of the Masters and Warriors of the Night, to be kind of boring, and they felt that Red Horizon Tides of Vengeance was more exciting. And so there are people who are happy about those sets coming out and wish that Indians was out. Then there's other people, the people who've been playing, I think, longer, who kind of think that, Red Horizon Tides of Vengeance is back, and we've been playing this format now since December. It's now May. Indians isn't out, so I feel like both people, the pro-Red Horizon camp and the anti-Red Horizon camp, nobody was happy about what the meta was going to be like at this event without Indians.
You know, I mean, I guess one way to put it is that I feel like in all the conversation about the 2K and everything we've done, I haven't heard very many good reasons to go. You know, money is a great reason if you're really hungry for money, but expected value wise, you know, not necessarily a winning proposition. It's still, you know, you're not guaranteed top 4. And you know, the people who did show up, you know, we saw Miles and Chris, who both love playing their character. Who we saw Garrett, who travels to everything. We saw us, who travel to everything. And
that's it.
Yeah, like Jack Hale showed up. He travels. He's another committed UFS traveler. But I mean, Michigan didn't show up at all.
No one from Michigan came. I was surprised that no one from
Atlanta?
SoCal came up. I know Atlanta they had considered coming, but I know I talked to Mr. Wagner, and he said one of the reasons they didn't come was no Indians.
Yep.
So, looking back on the turnout, you know, and I've had about a week and a half to think about this, including 38 hours on the road to myself with me in the mountains and whatnot.
And a sleeping Jesse.
And there are some things I figured out. First of all, there can't be another 2K until Jasco Games gets their house in order. Releasing sets every 3 or 4 months, having a dedicated, knowable rotation schedule, which I think they do, except we don't know when the sets are coming out, which I think they've pretty much got that in order, but it needs to be in order. It needs to be in order for a while. And I really, really, really hope that's where we're at. That needs to happen. I think we need to grow a little more in all regions. I think for the immediate future, cash prizes, I don't think we're ready. I don't think UFS is ready. I don't think UFS can support it on an ongoing basis.
And at the very least, it's not right for us. You know, I've seen Corey Hicks has been. I mean, I don't know if I'm in every group on Facebook, but I've kind of seen some mumblings of maybe let's do a Midwest circuit, maybe let's do, you know, whatever organized play run by that you guys want to do. And I think that's incredible and a wonderful idea. If you think that the game's going to be healthy enough and you're going to be able to support yourselves, that's awesome. You know, the Empire Circuit was a great place for us to kind of cut our teeth, and I think is a big part of the reason why we're even here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still so committed to this game after these rough times. But you know, when we scheduled this 2K, I mean, there were PTCs scheduled every month.
Right.
When we scheduled the first PTC, the first 2K, you know, everything was on an upswing. We had sets coming out, you know, consecutively. We had a bunch of excellent pro tours. We had a really healthy format. Everyone was really happy with the game. And right now, that's, you know, we haven't seen those signs of health from UFS. And maybe we will in 6 months. Maybe it'll be back to a healthy place that looks really positive when you put it into a spreadsheet. But
right now, we're just not there. And I think if things go the way Jasper Games want it, the way we want it to go, the way the players want it to go, the way everybody in the supply chain from manufacturer down to player wants it to go, where we release sets on a consistent basis. Here in a year, we may be talking about another 2K. But for the time being, it doesn't make fiscal sense.
Yeah.
Considering that as far as the pricing goes, we offered the entry at a bottom basement level, $5 per person. We were able to arrange for super cheap tickets for the con. So people, instead of paying $40 for a badge and what you'd expect to be maybe $10 or $20 for tournament entry, they got it all for $15.
Yeah, I walked in, and if I had failed to lose my match to Chris Pratt, and I very much failed to win that match. If I had managed to win my top 8 match, I would have walked out $235 cash money richer on the weekend.
Less your plane ticket.
That I walk into a PTC, and my first prize aspirations is getting a little bit more than that in plane ticket credit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for 4th place, I nearly walked away with that. I would have walked away, you know, proportionally, like cash is worth more than store credit, than airplane credit. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculously better prize than anyone. And, you know, it was a really good turnout payout wise, but
yeah, it was not a good turnout for people.
Maybe a bit of a, smaller steps
mm-hmm.
for the next few events.
So, but that's my assessment. We're not ready. UFS just isn't ready until a couple things happen. We need to grow. We need to get our house in order. We need to have regular sets. We need to have organized play chugging along on its own, so that there are routinely events of 20 or 30 people, which we're almost at with the PTCs, you know, having routinely 30 people on that. And then we can start saying, well, there are 4 PTCs here with 30 people. Out of those 30 people in each event, 10 were specific to that event. We think we can get 50 people into this venue, which I don't think we're there. I don't think we're going to be there for a minute. So, for now, no more 2Ks. It's not good. It doesn't make good sense. But
we got PTCs coming up.
We do have PTCs coming up.
I hope all of you are gonna. We're gonna cover those in a minute. But I hope you guys all on the East Coast are ready to battle this summer, because we're gonna have a great time.
We didn't talk about the second day event yet, though, at the 2K, which was
let's move on to something a little bit happier.
The Team Sealed Turbo event.
Indies pre-release Team Sealed Turbo.
So
before we step into that, Sean Hughes, have you guys had a chance to play Sealed Endings?
No, I was judging.
Oh, that's such a tragedy.
I went straight to Constructed.
Would you guys like to do that this weekend? We have a chance
I
to do
do
that this
not
weekend.
have time this weekend.
Okay, that's too bad.
I have.
Hughes?
I don't know.
You're doing it in Buffalo. It'll be a good time.
So, Team Sealed Turbo. So the way the format worked is for $60, a team of 3 people got 4 Indies Turbo decks, 1 of each. They had 30 minutes to build their deck, and then we played Turbo rounds.
Yeah, so you got your 4 starters, and you had to build 3 decks out of them. So you got, a pool of, I think, 72 rares. Is that right?
Something like that.
Right? Plus your 4 decks. So everyone you got to divvy up in your team who wanted to play which characters. If someone had a favorite, it was really easy to accommodate them, because there were 3 other decks to pick from for the other guys. And then you had to pick out which symbol you wanted to play on, who wanted to get which rares were the most important, and getting to read all the cards. I had an incredible time doing this.
That's because you were drunk.
I wasn't very drunk when we were building our decks.
So while Team Sober Enough to Fight was supposed to be deck building, and this was kind of funny to watch, and correct me if I'm wrong on my hit timeline here, Kevin Broberg was sent to go find some booze during deck building.
So
he wasted the whole time looking for booze, never came back with it, and then had like 10 minutes to build his deck and stole all of Jack Hale's cards.
Jack Hale just took a Schecter deck and then asked me a million questions about how to build a Schecter deck that were like, where should I start? Question 1. Question 2, where should I finish? Which symbol should I play on, and how should I play it? What are my tags? Please help. And fortunately, Devin was severely intoxicated, having taken they got a couple of drinks to start out with, and then gave me very bad directions on where to find more. And Devin had he had a Four Loko beverage that was like 12% alcohol by volume, like big can. He was also the lightest member of our team, so he was a little bit non-functional. He was just barely on the upper limit of sober enough to fight. He was not sober enough to deck build, so he took a card deck pretty much out of the box and managed to waffle stomp everybody with it, which was awesome.
What was amazing is this team went on to win due to the fact we only had 4 teams. We did not run the normal double elimination bracket. We instead chose to do a round robin, followed by top 2 playing off for the win.
Yep, and we were fortunate enough to, I believe, win our first match. Maybe no.
You lost.
I think
your
we
first
lost
match.
our first match.
And won your-
I think we drew our second and then won our third.
No, I think you won 2.
Okay, did we win 2?
You
In
won
any
2.
case, we then the finals we had a rematch of our last round, and I was sufficiently tipsy at this point, and I was talking a lot of trash, and I feel like I stepped over some lines while I did that.
And now this article I posted made sense. Makes sense to me.
Which one?
Your opponents are people too.
See, that was completely unrelated to me. That was Steve Rubin, a professional Magic player who just won a pro tour. Just kind of really nicely expressed his feelings, and I saw that. It was an incredible article. You should go read it. We should post it on our Facebook group. It's a really great, just kind of treatise on being a human being and having some self-respect and ethics while you're playing trading cards.
Which they did not. They were very intoxicated. They talked a lot of smack, and then spilled their drinks on other people's stuff.
We actually did that before we talked this back, but yeah.
So, yes. So,
That's
don't do that when you play Team Sealed Turbo Indians, but I highly recommend playing Team Sealed. It's, this product is, I think, uniquely well qualified to have a really great time doing that. Kind of the floor on how bad your deck can be is fairly low because you just play the starter as it is. But then you can make a lot of, there's a lot of creativity that goes into deck building in general, and you have a lot of opportunity to use that creativity to your advantage to really do some cool and great things with your sealed decks and all the rares you do get. It was a blast. I can't recommend it enough.
So, as far as the Indians deck goes, I guess, Kevin, you're the only one on the show who has any experience actually playing them out of the box. And you had some notes here talking about the implications of the small set size and having pre-con decks, specifically about less advantage to good deck builders. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so kind of tying into that point where if there's a low floor of how bad things can go, if you're a very weak player, you often will lose every single match in a very skill testing format.
Mm.
Because you'll make a lot of mistakes at the start. If you build your deck very poorly, if you're playing Magic, playing a sealed deck where you just open enough booster packs to build a deck, and then you have to cram them all together. Maybe you build a heavily multi-symbol deck or a deck with no blocks in it. Those are just ways that you can lose for free, kind of. But the pre-con decks kind of eliminate that, and then a stronger player has to go to the point of being doing crazy creative things that a less strong player who doesn't understand the game as well perhaps wouldn't be able to see those things or take advantage of them in the first place.
So you think it makes a more level playing field?
Yeah, I think it levels things out a little bit, which I think is really good for a game like UFS where Garrett Brett wins whatever absurd percentage of his matches.
yeah. From what I watched when judging, it definitely seemed like people didn't really do much to change their decks. Like a couple of them, if they got the really insane rares and they were on symbol what they were playing, they put them in. But it really seemed like there was no real point. You just played the decks.
Well, I think that's one of the advantages of Team Sealed specifically here, where you get 4 decks and then you pool them all. So, for example, I played Cherry and I took the 2 copies of Elimination Zone from my teammates' Hikaru deck, and I got to play those in my Void Cherry deck, and then triggered that R when my opponent played Foundations. And it didn't actually matter. It wasn't actually good, but I didn't realize that at the time. I thought it'd be great. And on top of, again, just stealing all the rest, I got 4 copies of Season's Guide to play in my relatively attack light kind of control-y deck, and that was only an option because I had 4 boxes to open from, and there happened to be one in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the other notes you had here was lower replayability, and that's a concern I have as well. Without a booster set accompanying this, because sealed UFS is not something people do terribly often, which is simply criminal.
Yeah.
I feel we should play limited formats more often, but in this case, compared to let's say Warriors of the Night, there are 2 starter decks, and then you can do some sort of sealed event where you can add booster packs, or you could do a sealed event with no starter decks at all and just mash up your booster packs and see what happens. And I could see where there's only so many combinations you can make. Maybe you get better or worse rares, which won't really affect a turbo deck that much.
Well, I think there's certainly something to be said for, there's still 8 characters in the format. That's the thing I really worry about, though, is that, at the end of the day, there's only 4 starters that you can be built off of.
Mhm.
And there's some variation in how the different characters play with them, and if you want to cross them over and stuff. When you do have 4 decks here, but especially if you're just playing straight up sealed with just a single starter, I imagine that the matchups kind of boil down pretty quickly, and there's only 10 different ways those can go.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's only like Eligor versus Hikaru, then there's only 10 pairings. Although I guess you can play both sides, so that increases it a little bit again.
And another thing that kind of hurts this as a limited format is because I found in the starter displays that I've opened, you get almost everything you need in one starter display, which means unlike in other sealed events where you may show up to a booster draft because you're still looking for a couple of uncommons or a couple of rares and play and hopefully win some more packs, I don't feel like there's an incentive to continue playing sealed with this once you've gotten everything you need.
Yeah, there's certainly no ultra rares to say, hey, keep coming back, maybe you'll get lucky this time.
Yeah, because what I said was going to happen exactly with Jeff and I. I got our boxes in, and we each opened them up, and there was a couple cards I was short on, and a couple cards that he was short on. Conveniently, those are the ones we had extra of. We just swapped, and all right, we're done.
That was my experience when I opened my first box in Las Vegas. Was Jesse and I, Luchador and I each opened a box. He got super lucky and just hit 4 of everything, and I was missing 4 of 5 things, and he had an extra of all those.
You had three of 5 things, and then
he happened to have 5 ofs, and we just traded, and an easy trade later we were done.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, I think that this release, as far as sealed, not really that great. And there wasn't any additional product to boost up. There wasn't a playmat, which there usually is, which was a little disappointing. And I think there could have been done more, but I also think Jasco Games did a good job with the time that they had because we hadn't had a set in 11 months, so they made this happen as soon as they could.
I think that this set, it was made with specific goals in mind. They wanted to let people get all the cards they wanted. They wanted to let people, play with all of the cards and, move it a little bit closer while not actually reaching the point of being a living card game where you get the entire game is within one box and you build the deck out of that.
Mm-hmm.
But to move in that kind of direction, just to get those cards out there and make them available to everyone so there wouldn't be scarcity effects, where there wouldn't be, Ryujin Kyaku being unavailable or whatever. Any ultra rares that are just chase impossible to find cards.
Now, I can see a potential future where some of these cards do become impossible to find. Let's say Jasco Games decides not to ever reprint this, which is something that could happen. And then UFS explodes. I mean, we've got some major licenses in the pipeline. We've got Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Cowboy Bebop. That's going to bring in a lot of new players. And let's say they decide not to reprint this. So these cards could become scarce depending on how many starter displays people open.
Yeah, and I think one of the side effects, we see this with living card games, is that there is virtually no trading. Everyone has all the cards they need and exactly the cards they need, and they can trade out. With this set, maybe you get 5 of some stuff, or maybe you played an extra sealed event just for fun, and now you have an extra Schecter starter or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are just cards you can get. You can just hand out like candy because they're not. They're only worth proportional to the fraction of the $12 starter deck.
They're not particularly rare.
Yeah. But once that supply of starter decks run out, now suddenly, well, if I trade away my assassination attempts, there's nowhere to get them except for other people who are having the same thought as me right now.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see. I think in the short term, the secondary market's kind of going to ignore this set. But once it's gone, and if they decide not to reprint it, the secondary market could see a huge boost in sales on this.
Yeah.
So enough about Indies. Let's move on to our next item.
Wait, actually, I had an idea that I'd just like to bring up. In case people do want to play sealed, in case people enjoy sealed, or they want to, your story want to run a special event that is maybe a little bit less high impact than forcing people to play constructed, and with that let's say you have a couple new players, they don't want to get in and get crushed by people. You can, to combat the replayability problem, you can add booster packs from outside the set. So you enter the event and you get your choice of starter deck or a random starter deck even, and then you choose 2 booster packs that are on the shelf. So you get a King of Fighters pack or a Rise of the Masters pack or a Darkstalkers pack. Supposing that these are in stock, I don't know, whatever. Or hell, you even get a Quest of Souls pack, or a Tekken 6 pack, or a King of Fighters 13, or a Domination pack.
A Shadow War pack.
I got Shadow War packs down here.
You got any packs that are like 3-point shurikens?
Actually, probably
the
somewhere.
real good shit. The
Oh yeah, I
vintage.
got a couple of those kicking around.
Yo, let's do that this weekend though. That'd be hype.
I think Corey mentioned something real good here. Is right now I think he thinks people should take advantage of the cheap price and buy several displays. I know we're selling them at RochesterCCG.com right now for $84. Now, because it's over $50, that's going to include free shipping. So for $84, plus any other discounts you have by shopping with us over time, because remember, the more you buy, the larger your discount, you could get all the cards you need for close to $80.
Yeah, you're almost guaranteed to get 4 of everything. Plus, you get the exclusive promo box topper, the World of Indians, that you can't get anywhere else. There's actually the one signal that says Indians on it that's actually kind of hard to get and actually worth something.
Right. So now can we move on to Do You Know the Rules?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, Do You Know the Rules? This is our segment every week where I'm going to ask my adoring public a rules question, and the public has a chance to win $10 store credit by writing a nice essay as to what happens and why. The last time we were on, we had a situation where you were playing a game and a player half blocks an attack with an Ever Hopeful, and their opponent wants to respond with Short Fuse to blank Ever Hopeful before they can respond. And the question is, do you know the rules? What happens? Now, we had one submission from Rio Gopal over in England, our favorite 5-hand size player. So just like on a math test in high school where I actually didn't know how to do the math, I just started plugging answers to the equation until I got the right thing, and I got partial credit for having the wrong work. So he says, no, this doesn't work. You don't get to blank Ever Hopeful. Ever Hopeful can still respond. Unfortunately, Rio did get there using the incorrect way. He did not have the correct explanation, so we're going to give him partial credit of $5. So the correct answer is, in UFS, we have a 2-stage block. So the first stage is actually playing a block card.
Yeah, so to back up real quick, an attack is divided into 3 steps: the enhanced step, the block step, and the damage step. In the block step, you can respond. There's two distinct points where you can respond,
which is playing a card as a block, and then the block effect.
Yep.
2-stage block. So Ever Hopeful responds during the first stage of the block, after you play a block card. Short Fuse responds during the second stage of the block, after your opponent blocks. So what happens is you play the Ever Hopeful and you generate a block effect. Correct me if I veer off the path here.
Well, I think you're already ahead of where you want to be.
Okay, so you play Ever Hopeful.
You make the control check.
You make the control check. You respond. It goes down to your stage.
Yeah, like once you succeed the control check, now you've played a card. It's a block card, it's a foundation card, and you can respond to playing a card.
But when you move to the second stage of the block step, you have a block effect. You've blocked with a mid-attack. So Short Fuse would normally have an opportunity to respond here, except there's no target anymore.
Yep.
It's gone.
If you want to face down Short Fuse in your staging area, you can try to seal the Ever Hopeful, but it's not in the card pool anymore. It's not a block card anymore. So you're not really sealing anything. But you can turn it face down. You can still respond with no target.
Right. So if you need to have like cards for like sober enough to fight or stuff like that. So before Short Fuse ever gets a chance to respond, the Ever Hopeful is gone to staging area, broken land, and they're going to reversal you and probably bounce your foundations to your hand. Sorry, kid. That's
it's a good time for everybody, really.
So, almost Rio Gopal, we're going to give you partial credit, $5 in your Rochester CCG account. Congratulations.
Yeah, just for me on this question, I think that also one of the things we're aiming for with this Do You Know the Rules segment is to try to get people to answer questions kind of in a bit of a clear way, and to help clear up some of the confusion about the rules, and to kind of get to the point, I guess.
Would the best way to be like, say, answer as if you are a judge?
That might be a good way. We want,
because it's definitely a tough thing.
People who are who are scouts who are trying to judge at their local events. We really want these to be a resource for them, to help them then go back, and if this question comes up, everyone in the community should know the answer to this after we featured on Do You Know the Rules.
So please make sure when you make your answers, make sure that they're concise and clear, devoid of emotion, because a judge doesn't get to have emotions no matter how much you hate Ever Hopeful, which at least one of us on this show does. 2 of us on this show does.
Goddamn amateurs.
So, that's it for that rule. We're going to move on to another rules question. This one's going to be a little simpler, I think. Came up during the 2K. So, Mr. Hughes, please bring up our card in question.
Andy, can
This
you give
is-
me a ride?
Andy. So here's a response. Arcommit. Oh, I can't quite read it. Hughes, can you read that off?
Arcommit, discard the first card in your opponent's card pool,
Colon.
After your opponent plays an attack, not as a block, reduce that attack's damage to 1.
Okay, so here's the situation. Going forward, to keep things nice and simple, the players are going to be myself and Kevin.
Great.
Kevin is playing Andy. I'm playing Mai. So I just played a Hauryoken.
Wow.
Hauryoken into my card pool. I checked a 3. It was pretty unfortunate. I commit 3 of my foundations, but it passes.
All right. Do you have any responses to playing an attack?
Yes, my first response is going to be that we can't play cards out of our card pool for the rest of the turn.
Great. So it's my turn to play a response, and I'm gonna use Andy's response and pay the cost. I'm gonna discard your Hauryoken from your card pool.
Well, that's horseshit. So,
Language.
this is my show. I can say whatever I want. So, the
Didn't see
question,
that coming.
the question for do you know the rules is what happens next? Do I have the opportunity to continue playing enhances? Do we have a block step, a damage step, a reversal step?
What's his Hauryoken's attack? What's the damage of the Hauryoken?
So we're looking.
If something were to ask, I don't know.
So we're looking for a short essay, 1,500 words or less, as to what can happen next in the game. That's really about it. And then next week we're going to tell you what exactly happens after my Hauryoken was discarded from the
Vanquished.
card pool as cost and reduced to 1.
Was Kopoken?
Popo.
Well, I guess Kopoken is like Kopoken trained.
So
I don't
please
know.
respond with your essays at our Facebook page. Hughes will be posting
I'll
after
post
the
the
show.
question after the show.
Question, and then we're going to see who gets the most correct answer. Remember, the person who gets the credit must answer the question correctly for the right reasons and have the prettiest essay.
Yeah, Sean says 1,500 words or less. Feel free to go way less than that. It's not that hard.
So no poop emojis?
No, that's. Would you submit a poop emoji to a college professor?
I would.
He
only,
would.
Only the right college professors, of course. Like the feminist theory ones. They'd be down with it. It'd be great.
Okay, we're going to leave that conversation right there. Move on to our upcoming events. So, a week from this Saturday is the first PTC with Indians Legal at
Woo!
Millennium Games and Hobbies in Rochester. Signups are going to begin at 10 o'clock with tournament play beginning at 11. We have reserved the private gaming room, which has some really cool benefits. First of all, we can close the doors and not deal with any of the other nerds. We have our own private washroom that's
Wow,
only usable.
I was just about to ask that, and I didn't realize that the answer was yes.
Yeah, so there's a washroom
Oh,
just for
wow.
us, and if for some reason Kevin's taking one of his world famous
I'll take them
sit-downs,
outside. Don't worry.
you could use the general purpose bathrooms as well. We're not restricted to our private
Yeah,
washroom.
you have to walk by the mouth breathers, but only a little bit. Only once or twice.
A Millennium, and I visit a lot of game stores across the country. Millennium, I'm not saying this just because it's my local store, is my favorite. It's got one of the largest showrooms in the industry, plus a very, very nice play space in the back.
They have they're like one of the largest stores on the East Coast, if not the largest at this point.
And they have a very large, comfortable play space.
Yeah.
The air conditioning actually works. They've got sound bars up on the wall to try to absorb some of the sound, even though it still does get pretty loud there, especially with Kevin Broberg.
Especially with you.
So I'm really looking forward to that event. Hopefully we can get a better turnout than at the 2K.
That would be the dream for sure. I think that it's going to be an exciting event. We've got a lot of new cards to play with. We've got a lot of excitement. And we're back in upstate New York, and we've got all the players we've built up around us over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get to use the rent the board games in that room during the day?
We're not even dealing with those. We're just going to play UFS.
Okay, well,
So after the tournaments,
Stay
you
tuned.
can probably talk to the guys up front and see about that. I think we got it for the whole day, right?
Yeah, we do. We got it all day Saturday.
So yeah, man, maybe after the event, once we get once we get some fast food or whatever, you can come back to the store and play some board games, and try to do some free demos of some board games afterward.
Maybe purchase some board games.
yeah.
I'm sure the store would really like that.
Oh yeah.
After the Rochester PTC on the 4th and 5th of June, there's a second PTC in June, which is the Reading PTC at Matrix Cards and Games in Reading, California. a nice SoulCal event. Kevin Broberg, will you be attending?
I have not yet made any arrangements.
So no. After that is the Atlanta PTC, July 9th and 10th at the Ravens Nest. Kevin Broberg, will you be attending?
I have made arrangements. Yes, I'm going, and it's going to be hype as a mother.
I know I intend to be there. I'm taking actually some vacation time before the event to go and do some actual vacation stuff for the first time in probably like 3 years. I'm going to take a vacation that's not all UFS.
You deserve it.
Yay, vacation. Hughes, are you going to go to Atlanta?
I don't know. I just confirmed I'm not going to Origins,
Bum, 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 bum.
mainly because I didn't get an answer from the other person I'd be going with.
Curses.
So
Yeah, I'll tell you this: the Atlanta guys are really responsive. You talk to them on Facebook, at
Mhm.
least when you're me.
It's just a matter of getting there.
After the Atlanta PTC, which I think could be the hypest event and could have been nationals, we have another PTC here in New York, down in Amsterdam, New York, at Professor Bonds Emporium, August 27th to 28th. That is a game store I've actually really liked going to. For those of you who've never been there before, it's in a warehouse.
Yep.
But
on the way in, you walk by giant stacks of energy drinks that are sold out of that warehouse.
But I really like Professor Bonds. They have their retail space on one side of the warehouse with a small gaming area. And then across the hall, an 8-foot hall, because naturally 2 pallet jacks need to go by. There's a second gaming space, which is all linked up to their main gaming space. So the timers and all that stuff come up, and it can all be ran from the one side. I think it's a really cool store. I really like that one.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a while since we've been down there, so I'm really excited to see
It's been
them all.
about
again.
8 weeks, 8 months rather.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. So that's what we got for upcoming events through the end of August. Fortunately, still no word on U.S. Nationals.
Yeah, distinct lack of any national level events. You know, hopefully we get some cardboard this year again. Not just have the world tournament, but
See, I'm
Maybe
of
that's
the
how it is.
opinion, I'm going to jump on a little tangent here. I think we give out too much cardboard. I would like to see cardboard only given out at the World Championship and have an alternate price for an alternative price for nationals.
I think that's definitely
It's possible.
it's a valid position.
Especially since without giving cardboard out at nationals, Garrett doesn't get to go to the free tournament in England anymore. No offense to our British counterparts,
You know, the
but
cool-
most tournaments are free to Garrett Brott.
You know, the coolest prize in gaming is a big selling point of UFS, and so I think there's a reason to try to maximize that and to put that in everyone's face and to actually maximize the number of people who can go back to their local store and say, "Hey, look at me, it's me," and assuming they're actually better at getting their art done than I am.
However, I think for a while, especially a couple years ago, we gave out way too many cards. You know, because at that time we were giving out 2 to 3 cards in Canada. We gave out 3 cards at Worlds. We gave out
Yeah,
2
for
cards at
teams,
Nationals.
legacy, and singles.
Yep. We gave
and,
out 2
and
cards
a lot of majors.
at
Yeah.
Nationals. We gave out 2 cards in England. 3 cards in England. So what's that? 7, 10.
I can't count that.
That's 10 cards, plus a card in Chile randomly. And so, how exclusive is the greatest prize in gaming? If I estimate maybe there's like 1,200 UFS players right now.
Yeah.
If 1% of them every year wins a card.
Yeah.
Not like 1% ever is going to get their face on cardboard, but 1% each year. And I think that's a little high. But maybe that's a topic for another discussion because we are starting to get a little late in the hour.
For me, I think it's more just a quick comment for it that the cards don't get released on a consistent schedule.
Mhm.
Like we had that last huge batch. It was like 4 years worth of cards or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
I feel like we're gonna get that to happen again because I haven't seen any cards in a while.
Well, hopefully we'll be getting some champ cards soon. Hopefully my sexy face will be out on my champ card soon, Rochester CCG. So, let's talk a little bit about next week before we sign off, and then I have a special announcement at the end that's not on our schedule. So next week we're going to be talking some more about Indies. We're going to have our first constructed event with Indies this weekend. I'm going to run my very bad Sasquatch deck
No, really.
if I don't get a chance to build something
All
else.
right.
I'm gonna find my character right now.
Nobody wants to see your butt.
Yeah, they do.
Is it Rikuo?
Rikuo.
Rikuo.
Hey, that guy. Yo, he's the frog meme. I just realized.
No, he's not.
Oh shit! What up?
No.
Broberg, what are you running?
I don't know. I have a Rudica deck I built that I kind of like, but I don't know if I like it enough to play it.
I know we got
Wait,
like.
actually, we're just talking about it this Friday.
This Friday.
Yeah, I'm planning to land up my Dancing Flashes to Andrew Forrest, so I'm definitely playing Rudica.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have like 3 Felicias that are playing on Friday.
Yeah, man, Felicia's awesome. Everyone should be excited about Felicia. She's so exciting.
Hey, Felicia.
What's wrong with Felicia? You
Ever
just,
hopeful.
You just tap her,
The
dude, you just tap her board. with your-
UFS, the Universal Felicia System.
Yeah, man.
Oh, well, I'm playing
Yeah.
Sasquatch. I'm going to tap all of her good cards.
Felicia's so S tier. That's why one person showed up at the 2K with a Felicia starter deck and no one else played Felicia. I mean,
Well, I did specifically tell Mr. Brett not to play Air.
so S tier.
So, a special announcement for the end of the show today. Rochester CCG is looking for some sales reps. We're looking for local sales reps to promote UFS to stores in their area and earn some money. We are going to be paying, it's going to be commission based on your territory. If you are interested in applying, please email me at sobrien@rochesterccg.com, or you can go to rochesterccg@gmail.com. I'm looking to
I
get
see that.
at least 1 sales rep per state to try to grow UFS so that we can have 2Ks again.
Thanks.
And in addition to your commission, you also get a nice perk that you get to purchase product at store prices as a contractor for Rochester CCG. That being said, you do actually have to sell some stuff. Hughes. Now, Hughes is great.
Oh,
He's
that's
been
good.
working with us as a sales rep for about a year and a
I
half.
sold a bunch of Indians. Like
and
I sold more.
a shitload of Indians. So, if you're interested, please message us. You can message me on the Facebook. You can send me an email because we are looking to bring on maybe about 10 sales reps. We're really looking to expand on the East Coast and in the Midwest. So please get a hold of us if you are interested. And I think that wraps up everything I need to say. So we will see everybody next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye.
It's that boy.